One does, one is getting divorced, one goes to the island of Isla, where they make the Scotch whiskey. And one rents a bicycle and goes camping on the coast to contemplate life. And
can I tell a funny story before we get into
before we get to the story, okay, funny story, then song, all right?
Okay. So he split. He went to these islands, you know, where they make the whiskey, right? We're in Glasgow. We're gonna go to Germany the next day. Immergluck's gonna play bass for us, right? And we're gonna have a beer. It's the end of the UK part of the tour. We're on to Germany. So we go down to the hotel lobby at the airport in Glasgow, and we're drinking a beer, and they're like, you can't do that. You can't drink beer in the lobby of the hotel.
Oh yes, I remember this.
So we go, okay, fine. We'll go out to the car. We'll go out to the van. You know? So we go out to the van, you know.
Nothing really ever changes.
One of those Sprinter vans, you know, which has like a sofa and then like a table and some chairs and stuff like that. And someone's like, hey, I got some pot. Great. We got an apple. So we carve a little pot. Yeah. So we're drinking beer and smoking pot and talking, like as one does.
Like last night.
Wait. Anyway, we're all sitting there rapping about whatever the fuck. End of tour, blah, blah, blah. Knock on the car, on the side door. We open up the side door, it's British, right? So it's like sliding door on this side. It's two bobbies. Full on like British policemen with their hats, notepads out. Notepads. They're like, all right, big puff of pots. All right, what's all this then? So they're like, all right, who are you? What are you doing here? Give me your names and names and addresses. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to spell this for you because I live in Sweden, so it's like it's gonna be really weird. And they're like, right. So I start to spell like the name of the street that I live on, all this business. And then someone else is like from New York, you know, and someone else is from Brighton and blah, blah, blah. And the cop, there's an old cop and a young cop, and the young cop is like, oh, we got him for smoking pot. Yeah, this is gonna be great, you know. And the old cop is like, what are you doing in town? And we're like, well, we just played a show at, you know, in town, we're a band. Well, where are you gonna be drinking and driving now? No, we're going to Germany the next day. Well, where did you play? At King Tut's Wawa. Well, what's the name of your band? Emperor Van Beethoven. Take the Skinheads Bowling. My band does a cover of your song. The young cop was like, what? All right then.
Well, that trumps my story, so I'll just continue. But I will say this: last May, Teenage Fan Club came through Portland, and I went to go see them with Scott McCoy. And I've known Norman for some time, and so Norman's like, "Come out and have beers with us tomorrow." So we went out and had a couple of beers, and they all wanted Camper Van Beethoven stories because they love Camper Van Beethoven. And I was like, "Well, that's interesting." But we knew they covered. Actually, you see the Michael Moore movie Bowling for Columbine. The version of Take the Skinheads Bowling in that movie is actually recorded by the Teenage Fan Club. So I knew that Teenage Fan Club were aligned. But then they're like, "Hey," they had this new bass player. I was like, "He's really good. Why is he here? What happened to Dave?" And I was like, "Well, Dave's playing with Bell and Sebastian." I was like, "Wow, Bell and Sebastian." I was like, "They're coming to town in 2 weeks." I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to go, but it's sold out. I don't have to take it." I was like, "Well, we can get you on the guest list." So I go and I see Bell and Sebastian, and I go backstage and do their hellos and thank you, Dave, for the ticket. That was really nice. And then I don't really know these people, so I'm gonna leave. And I'm walking out the door, and this nice Scottish gentleman holds the door open for me. And he's like, "Hi." And I'm like, "Hi." He's like, "Have I met you?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm Stuart." I'm like, "Ah, Stuart." He's like, "Are you in a band?" I was like, "Is it everybody in Portland in a band?" And so we walk down the street. He said, "What's the name of your band?" And I said, "Camper Van Beethoven." He's like, stops cold. He's like, "We must talk." So it turns out Stuart was a huge fan of Camper Van Beethoven. And I was like, that's cool. And I was like, David Lowry hates Bill and Sebastian, but I'm not going to tell you that. So it's just like, that. So it was very polite. And then he's like, you guys are in my memoir. I'm like, wow, I thought your memoir. 2 weeks later, Camera Obscura come and play at the same place, Revolution Hall in Portland, and they're produced by my friend Tucker, and he's like, you want to meet them? I'm like, sure. So I go and meet Camera Obscura, and I'm standing there, and like, Tucker's like, this is Victor, he's in Camper and Beethoven, and this singer whose name I can't remember is like, oh my god, Camper and Beethoven. Like, what the fuck is going on with Glasgow, right? And so what she proceeds to tell me, and this is why it all makes sense, is that there was they're all, maybe about 10 years younger than us, and there was this working men's club in Glasgow that all of these people used to go to, and they had 3 floors. The first floor was a Chinese restaurant, the second floor was the youth club, and the upstairs floor is where they play like Bay City Rollers or whatever, and the adults would party, right? So the kids had their own party floor, and they always knew that it was the end of the evening when they would play Take This Again at Home. And Teenage Fan Club and Belle and Sebastian and Camera Obscura all went to that club.
Vaselines.
Right. So that is why we are huge in Glasgow.
We're good.